Boxing was just a backdrop in the film Rocky, the excuse. The real story, the dirty little heartbeat of it, was that everyone in that film was clawing at the same thing. They all wanted to be somebody. Rocky didn't want to end up another forgotten slab of meat hanging around a Philly street corner, punching at shadows and drinking cheap wine. He wanted something bigger, something that had weight, something that stuck. And Mickey? He'd missed his shot, watched it slip through his fingers like a drunk spilling his last drink, and now he was left training punks in a run-down gym that smelled of sweat and regret. Adrian? Stuck inside a pet shop selling birdseed and dog food, avoiding eye contact with people who never saw her anyway. Even Paulie wanted it too. Remember when he asked Rocky, "Can I help you?" when the big shot finally comes knocking? Even Paulie wanted a taste of being somebody, anything but what he was. Years before Stallone filmed Rocky, there was a fighter who came from some nothing town in Mississippi, hopped a bus to Detroit, and tried to carve his name into something solid. He didn't know what, but he knew it had to be something. He stepped into the ring with dreams bigger than his fists. But dreams don't mean anything when reality starts swinging back. He thought he could punch his way into existence, make them remember him. He wanted to be somebody. He wanted the world to notice before it moved on without him. He wanted the world to know the name. Lucien Sonny Banks was born on June 29, 1940, in Birmingham Ridge, Mississippi, one of 6 kids. College Hill Community was where he grew up, back then just a dusty stretch of road with a gas station, a general store, and a few clapboard houses that looked like they'd fall over if you sneezed too hard. If you weren't paying attention, you'd pass right through and not even know it existed. His father, Lucien, put in hours in nearby Tupelo, working for some tractor factory, bringing home what he could. Sonny was bigger than most of the kids at the Pontotoc Attendance Center. Strong, too. The principal said he was a good student, a fine athlete. But one day Sonny walked in and said he was done, said he was heading up to Detroit, said he wanted something better. The old principal just nodded, like he'd seen it before. So Sonny left. By 1959 he was walking the streets of Detroit, and luck, fate, or pure dumb chance led him to a boxing gym. He heard the steady thud of a speed bag echoing down the block and got curious. Motor City Gym. He entered and just stood there, watching, listening. The next day, he spent what little cash he had on some gloves and never looked back. A trainer, Theodore McWhorter, saw something in him, took him under his wing, worked him hard. No amateur nonsense, straight to the pros in May of 1960. An attorney, Bern Stanley, saw him too. Him and his business partner, a car dealer named Ted Ewald. They weren't the typical sharks, more like benefactors, rich men with time to spare. Stanley even took Sonny into his own house, fed him, looked after him. Sonny was different. No booze, no cigarettes, no cussing, no women. Just boxing. He was quiet, polite. He's a born gentleman, Stanley said. I'd say he's spiritually motivated if the phrase doesn't repel you. Inside the ring, Banks was raw power, all muscle and no patience. Those fists won him fights early on, but his lack of experience was a hole he couldn't punch through. In a 6th pro fight, he forgot to protect himself at all times, turning his head to listen to what his corner was saying, and bam, lights out. After that, something clicked. He went on a 5-fight knockout streak, hammering guys down like nails. All those early knockouts were the worst thing for me, Banks said. Made me think I was all that good. But I'm learning. Every fight, I'm learning. Then came the fight against Clay Thomas. Sonny wrecked him. Detroit papers went wild, calling him the second coming of Joe Louis. Got him a shot in Madison Square Garden against some loudmouth kid named Cassius Clay, the future Muhammad Ali. At the pre-fight luncheon, Ali ran his mouth, cracking jokes, putting on a show. When Sonny's turn came, he stood up, awkward, out of place. It's wonderful, he stammered. I'm sure going to try and beat Clay, because that'll mean a lot to my career. But even if I lose, I will have lost to the Olympic champion, and even that'll be wonderful. Sweet kid, the press said. Too sweet for the business. But he had hands, and sometimes that's enough.
Round 1, 10 rounds scheduled. Clay in the white trunks and Banks in black. If Banks does anything, it's figured to be early. He's a power puncher early in a fight. Clay is the most loquacious heavyweight since Jack Sharkey. He's ranked 9th by Ring Magazine. Banks is unranked. Banks' power mostly is in his right hand. Clay has dazzling speed of hands and feet when he opens up. Patterson, I say reputed to. We were seeing him for the first time ourselves. Ruby Goldstein, the referee. There goes Clay on the floor. He's got to take the mandatory 8 count. There's the mandatory 8 count. 1 minute to go in round 1. These boys are punchers. Don't turn away. Less than half a minute to go in the round. Seconds to go in round 1. There's the bell. First time that Cassius Clay was ever down. Less than 2 minutes to go in round 2. Clay can't be classified as a great fighter as yet. Let's see if they count that a knockdown. No. Banks was bothered by that punch, but Ruby Goldstein ruled it no knockdown. Now he hurt Clay again. Banks apparently has power in either hand. A minute to go in round 2. Everybody's been looking for Banks' right hand. It's the left hand that he's causing the trouble with. There goes Banks down. That's a knockdown, all right. A flash knockdown, just like the one that floored Clay in round 1. Mandatory 8 count. Now the knockdowns are even. 15 seconds to go in the round. Almost over. There's the bell. Scoring 1 knockdown. Here's round 3. And both have shown inexperience at times. Clay's had only 10 professional fights and Banks has had 12. Clay's leaving his hands a little bit low. That's understandable when Banks fights out of a crouch. Now Clay seems to be coming on a little bit. sharp jab that Clay has. Turns it into a left hook on occasion. 1 minute to go in round 3. Banks was roughed by that left hook. He's getting roughed a little more. Banks is in real trouble. But he can punch it back yet. 30 seconds left in the round. Seconds to go in round 3. For round 4, black trunks. Round 4. Goldstein is stopping the fight, that's all. Sonny Banks wants to continue. Only a few seconds had elapsed here in the 4th round. A knockout for Cassius Clay, coming from behind after being floored in the 1st round.
It was the first time Ali hit the canvas. Sonny felt good about it. Clay didn't beat me, Banks said. Inexperience did. If I'd had a few more fights under my belt, I would have known how to finish him off. Sonny went back home for a bit. College Hill hadn't changed. The school principal asked him to say a few words at an assembly. "I'm working hard to make something of myself," Sonny told the kids. "Got a job at the Ford plant, and I'm fighting. It's hard work, but I'm making money and I like what I'm doing. Main thing is, I want to be something. That's what you all remember and try to do yourself." Then it was back to Detroit, back to small paydays in the Ford assembly line. The fight game wasn't kind. Young Jack Johnson knocked him out in 5 rounds. The crowd turned on him fast. "Glass chin," they said. "No heart. He won't make it." But his managers still believed. And Sonny? He wasn't ready to quit just yet. "I want to be somebody," Banks said. "It's all that simple. I've pumped gas, worked in the Ford plant, but I'm nobody and I got no chance of being anybody until I make it in the ring. When I do, I'm going back to Mississippi to take care of my mama and my daddy." It was a dream chasing him down like a memory that wouldn't quit. He won 8 of his next 10 fights, even took a beating from Cleveland Williams that left him staring at the ceiling. In January of 1965, Banks walked into Stanley's office and asked, "What do you think of me getting married?" Before Stanley could answer, Sonny shook his head. "I always thought it wasn't a good idea if I couldn't provide for a wife the way I'd like to." He had a girl, wanted to put a ring on her finger, but he'd wait. One more fight. Leotis Martin was waiting in the ring, and Sonny had to prove he wasn't done yet. Banks lost the first 4 rounds against Martin, but came back swinging. Took the next 4 smartly. Early in the 9th, he staggered Martin with a vicious right. Martin held on, buying time, then came back hard. A flurry of punches, then a right that dropped Sonny like a sack of bricks. He hit the floor near his corner, legs giving out first, then the rest of him. The back of his head hit the canvas with a sickening crack, like ice breaking on a frozen lake. He was out. They counted him out. 20 minutes later, they carried him out. They took him to the hospital. He was awake for a little while, asked for a glass of water, then drifted back into the dark. They cut into his head to ease the pressure. 2 hours under the knife. Leotis Martin came by. Manager Ewald sat by his side for 3 days straight. Fighting was the answer for him, Stanley told the press. Without boxing, it was back to the Ford plant. He wanted something better. 3 days later, Banks was gone. "We called him Sonny," his mother said. "He was a fine boy. We've been crying all day."